May I ask you, sir, to start to kick off and maybe address the fundamental issue of, coal production, trebling coal production, and the challenges that you face?
Thank you very much, and good morning. It's a pleasure to be here because my association with Brookings has been the one that exists in Washington when I was doing a scheme called Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, and I enjoyed my visit there. Very fond memories. So when Mr. Mehta came over, I was in any case biased towards Brookings. I didn't know that Brookings India existed. So when he told me that, I'm here. But I'm here basically as a Kansen, not as a Tansen. I would rather listen to all of you. He calls me an expert, which I'm not, thankfully, because as a practitioner, I would rather not be an expert. Let the experts guide me into doing a few things on the ground. Let me give you a brief, broad idea of what we have in mind. We made some calculations and we felt that India would require about $1.5 billion around 2020 if we grow at 8% per annum. That's the GDP. How are we going to get it? Because the past few years, Coal India has grown anything between 1% and 3%. And we are talking in terms of taking Coal India from present 494 to $1 billion in the next 5 years. And where will the other 500 million come from? So if the demand is 1.5 billion tons, where is it going to come from? Then let me give you a few calculations. And let me also tell you what gives me a hope that this can happen. First, let me tell you about the 500 million ton part. I think the Supreme Court judgment came as a blessing in disguise. So we had about 204 blocks that were allocated over a period of time. And coal was being mined only in 42 of them, which means that there was the potential. And the tragedy of this country is we're sitting on loads of coal, yet we import coal. So there is a demand, there is a supply, we can't able to match up with supply and demand. So this came as a blessing in disguise. So as you all are aware that we first got an ordinance promulgated and then we got down to business and probably put in place a transparent mechanism through which auctions have indeed happened. Now these 204 blocks have a capacity of peak rate capacity of 800 to 900 million tons. And if we are going to do something which we are attempting to do, I have absolutely no doubt that we'll have 500 million tons by 2020. So to me, that is not a problem at all. It will happen because in the Schedule 2 42 mines, the capacity is 90 million tons. The original schedule, additional 32 mines have a capacity of 140 million tons. These 74 mines can start mining, 42 already mining, the rest 32 can start mining within a year. So 500 million tons from private sector should not be much of a problem. Though of course I have a slight reservation to the term that used, controlled by me. I don't believe in doing that. I would rather call myself as a principal facilitator, which I pride in. So we are trying to facilitate a production of 500 million tons of coal in the private sector. Of course, on some occasions, I'm a very hard taskmaster. I have told the businesses that we mean business as well, and we've demonstrated to some of the private sector that we do mean business, and we shall continue to mean business. That doesn't mean that I am a controller. We won't tolerate nonsense. The other part, the 1 billion part, is a trickier part because of the history that we have with Coal India. Coal India does have that potential, but it never seemed to have been realized. So what have we done so far? And that's where I'll seek your guidance, your indulgence, your support. We've identified mine-wise plans. We worked out on mine-wise plans on how can we take from level A to level B, as also to identify new mines which could be exploited in the next 5 years. And in each of these mines, we've identified clearly what are the aspects, issues that need to be resolved for those mines to mine as much as we want them to mine. So the distribution of work between Coal India and us in the ministry is that we will manage the environment, not environment and forest, the surrounding environment, help you do that, and I'll explain to you how we plan to do that. And Coal India does the digging part. Now it's easier said than done. But still, earlier Coal India was trying to run around to Ministry of Environment and Forest, to Ministry of Railways, all those problems that they have with externalities, and spending a lot of time there. I said, you forget it, that's my job. And what has helped me is my previous assignment where I was heading a project monitoring group, facilitating and fast-tracking projects of 1,000 crore. And in that capacity, I managed to develop certain relationship, and I abuse a lot of my personal relationship to push government to work. So that's working. So what we've done is these mine-wide plan, we've tried to identify clearly that these are the environment clearances, these are the forest clearances, these are the evacuation issues. So we identified them. And we are working very diligently with this organization on a very consistent basis to get them moving, and the results are already forthcoming. I'll give you some examples that gives me hope that we'll be able to achieve it. One of the biggest bottlenecks in ramping up coal production is not to do with production. I'm glad ex-chairman Railway Board is sitting here. It's evacuation. Today we are sitting on coal, 32 million tons of coal at the pit heads. And there are no rakes available to take them out. Not now. Now things have improved dramatically. In the past 1 month, there has been a dramatic improvement. Today, perhaps in the first time in the 5 years, there's not a single power plant which is short of coal. It has not happened in the past 5 years. It has happened now. How did it happen? The Coal India production improved by 7% last year, which may not appear very high, but given what has happened in the past 5 years, this is a record increase. And this year we started very well. We are already almost touching double-digit growth in the first month. Now, how did it happen? It happened on account of a number of reasons, but briefly what I tell you is, I am spending more time with the state governments than in Delhi. Because the clearances, etc., are to be given by the state government, land acquisition, land handing over. Another example that I'd like to give you, 6 mines in West Bengal. The government was sitting on these 6 mines for 6 years, not handing over the land to Coal India. Today those mines are with us. When I say us, it is with Coal India, and mining is to start. The Western Coal Field in Maharashtra is opening a mine every month in the next 24 months. How did it happen? A dinner meeting with the new chief minister. We just conveyed a proposition to them that if you allow us to mine, you benefit, I benefit, country benefits, everyone benefits. He understood that. Fortunately, the new brand of chief ministers all over the country are such that they understand this language. They are able to buy the proposition that we are selling to them. And that's why it's happening. So 1 mine every month. I'm just giving you some stray examples to demonstrate how we are attempting to do. Yet, there are problems. For example, with railways, I don't know whether you noticed it, we signed an MOU with railways and the state government. Now, state government is a very important component of all the MOUs that we are signing, because we've been able to convey to the state governments that there is value for you in whatever we are. And so the JVs that are now being set up have 64% equity from Coal India, which is sitting on a lot of cash. Instead of giving dividend to the government, they will now invest to create more infrastructure. 26% by ERCON and 10% by the state government. Chief secretaries are willing to do it. So we signed the first one with Odisha last week. We are signing the next one with Jharkhand the week following. So what has really happened is that the stakeholders have started believing in themselves, and they've started believing in what we are telling them to do. And that's what that gives me hope that we'll be able to do it. But it's easier said than done. We just made a beginning. It's a reasonably okay beginning. What has really helped is the value that we could transfer to the state governments by way of coal block auctions, which had nothing to do with Coal India. But that has given us the leverage to push the state governments to help Coal India. So it is moving a bit, but I look forward to your inputs in that, and maybe when we have the question answer sessions, I'll be able to tell you more. Thank you very much.
Right. So I think maybe I'll request you, Mr. Sahai, to give your views, maybe respond, and then...